Good morning, everybody. This is Conservative Coffee Talk. News for Captain. I'm not plugged in. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, God. There we go. One second, guys. Just getting situated here. Producer. There we go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy July 13th. All kinds of stuff to talk about today. It's an important day in our country's history, I think. I'll tell you why in a second. Got some notes I want to have here if I need them. Hey, what's up, Good in the Hood? I am just organizing my notes. What's going on, guys? Scott, what's up? Thanks for joining me. I got a little classic rock playing in the background for a little playlist. What's up, Dennis? So it's Sunday, July 13th, 2025. Conservative Coffee Talk, news for caffeinated conservatives. Just getting started. I'm in Southern Nevada. It's 12:11. I was out late performing, so I'm recovering. I'm a musician here in Las Vegas. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up, Wheezy? What's up, Wheezy? So, a lot to talk about today. I wanted to, this is the 1 year anniversary of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was, July 13, 2024, when what went down in Butler, Pennsylvania, kind of changed. I think it's one of the reasons why the presidential race last year between candidate Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris changed. I think the world seeing Donald Trump respond to adversity like that in real time was pretty awesome. I remember, hey Elizabeth, I'm talking about, it's been exactly 1 year since since what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't, you know what I mean? I'm trying to say it the appropriate way on this app. But a year ago today, President Trump was just started giving a speech in Butler, Pennsylvania, and something happened, and he had to stop. I think everyone knows what I'm not saying. So the attempt on at that time candidate Donald Trump failed, and here we are a year later, and we've learned a whole lot about who the perpetrator was, but not enough, in my opinion. And we've also learned of the tremendous Secret Service errors that were made that day. I'm going to go over that here for a second in the chat. But in terms of like political strategy, I mean, Trump didn't know this was going to happen, obviously, but I think his response, his intuitive response of raising his fist and saying "fight," after that happened, I think that was the deciding factor for a lot of voters. I think some independents that were still in the middle, I think some independents that weren't sure how they were going to vote, saw that day, saw what Trump did, and thought, I'm going to go with this guy. He's the real deal. That's just my opinion, not a fact, just my opinion. But I know that like Mark Zuckerberg, in 2020, Mark Zuckerberg, the guy that's behind Facebook and WhatsApp and IG and Meta, the Meta chairman and CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, in 2020, he donated over $400 million to the DNC. In the 2024 election, he didn't give anyone any money. He's like, I can't give the DNC. I said, I can't give the RNC any money, but I'm not going to contribute to the 2024 presidential election in terms of donations. And I think, and what he also said was, what Trump did that day in Butler a year ago today was the attempt on the former president's, And Mark Zuckerberg said when he saw what Trump did, how he responded and put his fist in the air and said, "Fight." He said that was one of the most powerful things he's ever seen in his life. So for me too. So they're still looking into it. They still don't know much about the perpetrator, the kid. They know more, but they don't know enough. I don't think. But they do know the Secret Service really didn't execute this event very well at all. I wanted to talk about that today, but I just think I wanted to preface all the stuff about the Secret Service failures with how I think Trump's reaction to that happening in real time convinced a lot of people to vote for him, especially independents that were in the middle that hadn't decided yet. I think that was the final, like, okay, yeah, this guy's got my vote. It's a pretty bold thing to do. You know, I'm not sure how I probably would have. I don't know what I would have done, but I don't think I would have stood back up and raised my hand and said fight. You know what I mean? So he is the real deal. I think Trump really is the real deal. It takes a lot of courage in that kind of situation to, not just run off the stage. I mean, geez, just protect yourself. You know. You are lowest person. Okay, Faith. Well, if I'm the lowest person, I'm going to ask you to go someplace where there are people that are higher than me, because I don't consider myself to be a low person. And it's also a personal insult to me, so that's not nice. That's not, I've got very few rules for my chat, and the only ones are no profanity and no direct insults to me or my guests, and that was a direct insult. So please don't do that if you want to stay in the chat. Okay, gotcha. Time for you to go. See ya. You're telling me what I think. You're telling me what I believe, which to me is also a very insulting way to speak to somebody you've never met before. So, goodbye. John, same thing. Thanks for the comments. Have a great time today on TikTok, somewhere else. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. Gabacha, thanks for the gifter badge. Faith, thanks for the gifter badge. Let's see here. I love TikTok. Encourage your viewers to share your live and invite more friends. Please share my live and invite more friends. I want to have an intelligent, calm, rational conversation about what happened a year ago today with people that want to be calm and rational. Hey, Sean, what's going on, man? Thank you, buddy. I'm talking about, it's been a year. Today's the 1 year anniversary of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, in terms of President Trump and the perpetrator and all that stuff. The new Secret Service director, Sean Curran, has made it his duty to figure out what went wrong. So he's been working on this since January 20th of this year, trying to figure out exactly what went wrong technically with the Secret Service. Hey, Kay, what's going on? We're talking about, it's not the happiest. What's happy about this situation is that Trump survived. Trump was able to run and become president, but he almost didn't. And this is the day where he almost stopped being with us, let's say. So, of course, when Trump won, hey, Sean, what's up, man? I'm going to heart you guys back. Thank you so much for being nice. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. I really do. It means a lot. So what I wanted to do on the anniversary of the day today is talk about the Secret Service's failings, and there's a lot, and discuss how in the future they're going to avoid this from happening again. But what I was saying before you joined us, Kay and Sean, was that I think politically, for a lot of people who were still on the fence at that time, in July of last year, I think Trump's reaction to that happening to him, the way that he showed strength and courage, I think that convinced a lot of voters to vote for him. And that's great, because he showed a lot of strength and courage that a lot of other people would not have shown in a situation like that. So, yeah. Let's see here. Make sure I talk to everybody. Say hello to everybody. Thanks for the gifts, guys. Hey, Marvel, what's up? How are ya? Yes, Joan of Arc, I agree. Thank God for Trump. The left has dragged him through the dirt. Well, they've been doing that for the last 10 years. They've been doing that since he came down the elevator, at Trump Tower in New York. He's thick-skinned. I think Trump is, I don't know what the name of the personality is, but I think Trump thrives on resistance. I think Trump thrives on stress. You know what I mean? Some people it makes them stronger. I think the more the left has gone after Trump over the last 10 years, even their coordinated lawfare, last year in 2023 when the Biden-Harris administration weaponized the DOJ against him, and they went to his home in Mar-a-Lago and checked some things out based on documents. That case has since been thrown out, of course. I think all those things made Trump stronger. He's definitely resistance proof, if that makes sense. I think I might have caved. I think I might have caved under that kind of pressure, but it made him more determined to win, and he did. Thank goodness. But I wanted to talk about the fact that on this day last year, the Secret Service made some really, really bad errors. I wanted to talk about what they were and how they're planning on fixing it in the future. But before we go into it, I wanted to just say that I think, again, pretty much right now in the United States of America, Democrats have a solid block on a certain number of people, and so do the Republicans. It's the independents that everyone's going after. That's like the swing states. Trump won all 7 of them, by the way. But usually it doesn't work that way. Usually the swing states are kind of the most competitive states for each team, each party to try and win. And I think what happened in Butler a year ago today just made a lot of independents decide, yep, this is the president. This is what a president looks like and sounds like. Someone that can handle anyone that can handle that kind of intense experience and raise his hand in the air and say fight, it's a good sign of a good leader. So here's what we know now in terms of the Secret Service a year later today. 10 days before the event, and this is coming from the White House. This is coming from the government. This is not my personal opinion. This is not coming from a news outlet. So there's no right or left side to it. 10 days before the Butler rally, the GAO and the government received an anonymous tip saying that they think they have pretty solid evidence that there's going to be an attempt on the president, the former vice. So a year ago in July, he was the former president, right? He wasn't. The GAO got an anonymous tip saying that there might be an attempt on the former president in Butler, Pennsylvania. The GAO failed to tell anybody. They didn't tell the DOJ. They didn't tell the authorities on the ground in Butler, the local authorities, the state authorities. They didn't tell anyone. They just sat on it. I don't know if they thought it was a prank, but I think in the future that should never happen. I think any threat to a president, credible or not, should be examined and shared federal agency wide. Do you guys agree with me on that? I mean, that seems like common sense to me. I can't believe they sat on something like that and thought, yeah, it's just probably probably just nonsense. Well, it wasn't. Let's see here. Proof, evidence, indictment, grand jury, and convictions is not weaponized. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, JB. Because all those cases got thrown out. I mean, they all got thrown out. But thanks for sharing your opinion. Hey, Trisha, what's up? Let's see here. Me too. I mean, what Kay is saying is, in addition to what happened, in addition to what almost happened to President Trump, Corey Compatore, who was just sitting on the grass with his family, became unalived because of this perpetrator. 2 other people in the rally were hit. So it was a real tragedy. I mean, the silver lining of it was that Trump came out of it okay. But again, those 3 Americans that were there, just innocent people at an event that got injured and one person lost everything, that's also the fault of the Secret Service not doing their job. There should have been way better protection of the president and then the guests that day at that outdoor event. So here's what we know now. A year later, we know this. There was a tip 10 days before to the GAO that there might be an attempt on former President Trump, and the GAO told no one. First thing, that's terrible. There was the agent in charge. I'm not making this up. This is coming from the White House. Okay. The agent in charge of locating any site vulnerabilities at that venue was a brand new agent. The agent that was in charge of making sure the site of where the event was taking place was cleared, never done that before. That was her first gig, her first time doing it. Okay. My question is, knowing that she'd never done it before, why wasn't a senior agent shadowing her and helping her to make sure that, like, the rooftop where the perpetrator was, a straight shot from the stage 100 yards away? Maybe if someone were shadowing that person, he or she could have said, "Did we check that rooftop?" you know. But the person in charge of site vulnerabilities had never done that before for any events, let alone a president. That seems like dropping the ball to me, you know. It's asking a lot of a brand new agent, you know. Yeah, that's disturbing to me. It really is. And Sean Curran, the current director of the Secret Service, has said that'll never happen again under his watch. And he said all future presidents the people protecting the president or former presidents at rallies or candidates even have to inspect the entire site. That didn't happen. The person in charge of the site vulnerabilities was brand new, and she dismissed it. She didn't dismissed it. I think there should be accountability across the board. You know, whether you're a senior agent or a new agent, there should be someone shadowing you and making sure no one misses anything, because anyone can make mistakes, brand new or experienced. But this mistake cost one person his life and two people injury, and we almost lost Donald Trump. So this is really, really serious stuff. You probably heard this. It's been in the media a lot. 6 other agents have been put on leave with no pay, no benefits for 42 days, while the new Sean Curran reviews their files and sees what their role was in that Butler, Pennsylvania event. See what the breakdown was and information with them too. I don't know. Should people lose their jobs or something like this? You think laying somebody off in the situation is the solution, or do you need to get new people? I'm just curious what everyone thinks in the chat. Because there were losses that day. You know, one American is gone, and 2 others were injured seriously because the Secret Service didn't do their jobs properly. And of course, we know that Trump almost got hit. I'm just curious if you guys think that the agents who have now been laid off should be let go. I'm just curious about your feedback on that. Hello from Dayton. Hey, what's going on, Betty? Welcome. Any thoughts on that, guys? Thanks, Des. Thanks for the gifter badge. What I'm asking folks on the chat is, as of right now, as we're having this chat right now, today, by the way, if you're brand new on the chat, today is the 1-year anniversary of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania with President Trump. And the Secret Service, the new Secret Service director, Sean Curran, has been going over this since Trump took the oath of office on January 20, 2025. Sean Curran, the new director of the Secret Service, has been going over this case nonstop. And he's found a whole lot of problems with his agency's response that day. 6 agents have been put on leave without pay or benefits. But I guess my question to the folks on the chat is that the right way to do it, or is letting them go the answer? Hey, Tabor. Yeah, Tabor. Today's 1 year. It's been 1 year. On this date in 2024 was the Butler rally, and that's the day that we almost lost Donald Trump. And again, like I said, since Trump came into power this year on January 20th, the new Secret Service director, Sean Curran, has been looking at that day, all the information around it, nonstop, to try to figure out where the breakdown was in communication and why this happened. So I'm sharing some of those results of what they found out. They still don't know much about the perpetrator. There's a lot of strangeness surrounding the perpetrator as well that they're still trying to figure out. But I think the main focus of their investigation is how this could have happened. How the person who was in charge of site vulnerability had never done that before. She was a brand new agent. She'd never had this responsibility for an outdoor event of this size ever. This was her first gig. It seems to me that when you're protecting a former president or a presidential candidate, your first job shouldn't be this. Do you agree with me on that? I mean, Deutsche Crusader. And like I said, even though Trump survived, one American didn't, and two other Americans got hit. And it could have been a lot worse than that if the perpetrator was, I don't know, more prepared or whatever. But that's not the point. The point is there shouldn't have been anybody on a roof within 300 yards of that venue. That's their job. Their job is to go through the entire area and make sure that everything's cleared. Every rooftop, every possible angle where someone can try to get to the candidate is covered, protected. They didn't do that. So So actually, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley is the one reporting about the tip that 10 days before the event, 10 days before the Butler rally last year, the GAO received an anonymous tip letting them know that they thought there might be a credible attempt on the former president in Butler, Pennsylvania. And that information went nowhere. The GAO didn't share it with anyone. I hope that's a lesson of this experience too, that in the future the federal government says any information we have about stuff like this has to be shared federal agency wide to any enforcement agency that might have to protect a candidate or a former president. Would you guys agree with that? Okay, Des. I would say look in the mirror, Des. Look in the mirror. I think you're describing yourself, Des. See you later, Des. Oh, man. I'll be right back, guys. Hang on one second. Sorry about that, guys. So Bondi's protecting. Yes, she is. I agree, Vulcan. Bondi's doing a great job. I was talking about today's the 1 year anniversary of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and all the. There's been a lot of there's been a long investigation now since last July about what happened, what the breakdowns were with the Secret Service, and they found some pretty disturbing information. And 6 Secret Service agents have been suspended without pay or benefits for 42 days while they evaluate their dockets and see if they deserve to keep their jobs or not. I think they should be let go, but I don't get to make that call. And I think if you're an experienced Secret Service agent, there's no excuse for this. But if you're new, I could see being lenient. What do you guys think? Any reactions? Sorry about the water bottle. It was planned. Well, yeah, it was definitely planned in terms of the perpetrator. And what's even I think what's disturbing to me as a citizen, as a voter, as an American is we still don't know much about the perpetrator. We know he was a pretty strange guy. He kept to himself. He was definitely kind of a loner, and he kept to himself. The perpetrator's father is on record saying, "I really have no idea what my son was doing." Okay, Mr. Incognito is very, very not incognito about being completely inappropriate here. And I hope TikTok sees that. I hope the algorithm sees your what you just did, because that's definitely a community guidelines violation, Mr. Incognito. Anyway, I'm surprised we don't know more about the person that did this. He was a young guy. I think he was a teenager. I think he just graduated from high school or was in high school. I'll be right back, guys. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Thank you, William. Thanks, William. Circumstance could be a factor far as new, and yeah, I mean, William, if you've been doing this for a very, very long time, if you've been a Secret Service for many years, these kinds of mistakes are unacceptable. Period. If you've been on presidential details before, if you protected former presidents or presidential candidates, these mistakes are unacceptable. If you're brand new and you've gone through the training and you were overwhelmed that day or something, maybe you get a second chance, And I guess what works in their favor in that respect is that Donald Trump's still with us. If that weren't the case, I think they should have all been let go, But what makes that three Americans were hit and one we lost one. So there was a real cost. There was a real human cost to the Secret Service's failings that day, a year ago today in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I think that's why those agents have been put on leave. And I think it's Sean Kern, the new Secret Service director, has got to make a big decision about their fate, because two Americans were hit, and one is no longer with us. And the one that is no longer with us had a young family that he protected, and it's a real tragedy. And of course, we almost lost Donald Trump. So I wanted to talk about that because I'm not sure if the media is covering it that much. They should be. And this is the anniversary of the day that it happens. But I thought it was important enough to come on here and talk to you guys about it and see what you thought. I say you TikTokers. Oh man, the unhinged person has to go. I was expecting comments like this, So I'm on the ready. I'm on the ready to remove people who are celebrating the fact that who are decrying the fact that it wasn't successful. If you're one of those people, maybe keep that to yourself. What's up, MB the Great? Let's see here. Yeah, there you go. Easy name. Adios. Time for you to go. I really, guys, I'm not going to tolerate profanity or direct insults to me or the folks on my chat. So, yeah, please don't do that. Please, let's not pretend we're in middle school. All right, let's try to be nice and respectful to each other if we can. Let's see here. Yeah, Vulcan, I'm talking about the Butler rally a year ago. Because it's very important that this never happens again for anyone, any president, now or in the future. I mean, we've got to put safeguards in place to make sure this never happens again. Can we all agree on that at least? I mean, whether you're a former president or just a candidate, there should be way better protection than what happened in Butler last year, a year ago today. Let's see. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate the gifter badge as well. I guess you guys aren't that interested in this topic. I am. Hey, what's up, MB? How about this? I'll leave that one alone. If anyone wants to bring it up in the chat and talk about it, I'd love to talk about it. I think Trump got very lucky that day, and he could have very easily not been here. And I think that's the reason why those 6 agents should be let go. But I don't get to make that decision. I also wanted to mention this, that Trump's education department has officially ended free college tuition for non-citizens. Under the former Biden-Harris administration, American taxpayers were paying the tuition of people that were here legally, and the Trump administration just ended that formally on Friday. So that makes me happy. That's definitely an America First move, Now that's federal funding. I do know in the state of California right now, if you're a non-citizen, you can apply for college tuition payments, and they do it. So if you're in there are sanctuary states that will still pay for your college if you're here illegally, but federally you can't do that anymore, which I think is a good move. N8 the Great, apparently they got promoted. No, I mean N8 the Great, they got put on administrative leave without pay or benefits for 42 days. So they didn't get promoted, that's for sure. Cats and dogs, I couldn't agree more. There should have been an absolute 100% coordinated effort in Butler, Pennsylvania last year today between local state authorities and the federal government. They should have been in constant contact days before the event, let alone the day of the event. So none of that happened. So that's why it's such a big deal, because no one wants to see this happen again. I don't want this to happen to a Democrat. I don't want this to happen to anyone. I don't want anyone to put their and for any more guests, anyone attending an event and they bring their families shouldn't have to worry about this happening. I mean, can we agree on that at least? Even if you don't like Trump, can we agree that the people in the audience that day should be able to assume the authorities are protecting their safety? That seems like a pretty reasonable expectation from someone attending an outdoor public event. If it's an outdoor public event, to me, that says they know how to secure it, they know how to keep us safe, we're fine being here. But we don't want people to be afraid to leave their houses, you know what I mean? So that's another big part of this. And again, two people in the crowd were hit, and one is no longer with us. So it was a pretty bad failure in terms of that too. But I also wanted to bring up the fact that, yeah, exactly. I mean, that roof should have been cleared. The roof where the shooter was stationed should have been cleared hours before the event. They should have cleared that the day before. They should have cleared everything day of. But I mean, it was a huge dropping of the ball, if you will. So yeah, and it was a clear shot. I mean, anyone knows that does this. You've got to clear there should be at least a 200-yard perimeter of safety for any former president or any presidential candidate. So yeah, I agree. Let's go, Pepe. You're talking about something we're not talking about, and what you're saying is strange. So, see you later. So, in addition to that, in addition to the today being the 1-year anniversary of what happened in Butler, PA, I also just wanted to mention a couple other things that Trump's education department has ended free college for non-citizens federally. There are still some blue states like California that offer free tuition to non-citizens to encourage them to stay in their states for the next census, which I think is un-American and not fair to taxpayers. But I don't get to make those. I don't get to make those decisions either. But yeah, I came on today to talk about this because it's the 1-year anniversary. I mean, I can talk about it tomorrow as well, but I thought coming on the day of and discussing this was pretty important. And again, my goal, I think any American's goal should be not only what almost happened to Donald Trump that day, but no future candidate should have to worry about that. That's why the Secret Service exists, to make sure this does not happen. That's the reason they have jobs. The Secret Service's only role is to protect the president, the vice president, dignitaries, whoever they're assigned to. Their whole reason for existence is to make sure things like this don't happen. I can't imagine any bigger dropping of the ball than this. So those 6 agents that have been put on leave, I think if it were me, I'd let them go, but that's not my call. Let's see here. Okay, will we ever see? That's a good question. I mean, Pam Bondi has made it. Well, I don't know about the whole sanctuary cities and states thing. I don't know if it's possible to eliminate that. But what's definitely happening is, ICE is picking up non-citizens in those states no matter what. Even the local authorities in blue states won't coordinate with ICE at all. ICE can operate independently of the state apparatus. It's a federal issue. It's a federal warrant. It's federal issues. So I don't know if we can ever get rid of blue states or get rid of them, get them to change their ways. Probably not. But we can definitely continue to enforce federal law. Okay, yeah, there you go. I was talking about that, but there's nothing. Yeah, your entire characterization of it is not true. Yeah, I agree. Okay, that's what Trump's doing with all the universities around the country that are violating the civil rights of some of their students. For sure, Trump's withholding money to lots of different colleges and universities that are allowing there to be discrimination on their campuses. There are federal discrimination laws that say students can't harass other students based on their heritage. And that's been happening on many campuses across the country. And Trump's withholding funds from those colleges until they enforce federal law, which is exactly his obligation to do. Title IX was violated at universities 100%. Yes, I agree. I'm glad you're on the chat. Thank you. Let's see. I will follow people back after I'm off. I promise. I try to make sure I'm fully present when I'm doing the chat, but I'll go back afterward and say hi everybody and follow you and all that stuff. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about the fact that today's the 1-year anniversary of what happened in Butler, and just a couple more headlines of what's happening right now. But this is a pretty big one, and I think if you watch any kind of news outlet today, there's going to be a lot of reflection on what we found out in the last year in terms of this happening in Butler, Pennsylvania. But off topic, we need trucking industry reform. Can you talk more about that, Kay? Trucking industry reform, in terms of like the DOT, Department of Transportation. I'm waving at people. Happy Sunday, everybody. Have some coffee. It's awesome. So in a year, we pretty much have found, it's been a year since Butler last year, and we know now that the Secret Service totally dropped the ball. Hey, Ginger, thank you so much. I've got a fan. Thank you. I hoped by now we would know more about the person, the perpetrator. We don't. I don't know why that is. But Sean Kern, again, the new Secret Service director, has promised to look into that more as well. So we'll know more soon. I thought we'd know more by today, but we know the Secret Service definitely did not do a great job on last year. Accountability is a great thing. Accountability is what keeps us serious, I think. You know, if you work for somebody else, if you're self-employed, you're also your own accountability officer, right? You're accountable to yourself. But when you work for the federal government, you're definitely accountable to someone else. So, and I think if you take that job, you're accountable to the people you're protecting. You know, I mean, the rally attendants last year in Butler, Pennsylvania, had a right to be safe. It was an outdoor public event. They had a right to feel safe there. You know, they took their children to the event. No one would do that. No one would take their children to an outdoor event if they thought there was any possibility of something going this wrong. You know, and they deserve to feel that way. So, yeah. Mima, thank you. I'm personally not going through anything. I'm talking about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, and the follow up on it with the Secret Service, with the perpetrator. That's what I was talking about, not myself personally. I also talked about the fact that Trump's education department has cut off all federal funding for free tuition for non-citizens, which I'm a big proponent of, and. Yeah, and also that, you know, we're talking. There's some economic stuff we can talk about as well. But I wanted to talk about the rally, where we've come since then. I mentioned too that at the beginning of the chat that I think for a lot of people who are on the fence this time last year about who to vote for, I think the way Trump handled the situation in Butler convinced a lot of people he was the right person for the job. You know, when something like that happens to you in real time, and your response is to raise your fist and say fight, that's a gutsy person. That's a gutsy person. A lot of people would have just out of self-preservation just ducked and ran. You know what I mean? He didn't do that. So good for him. The right person won the election in my opinion, my humble personal opinion, for educational purposes only, entertainment purposes only. But I think that was the deciding factor for a lot of voters, seeing Trump behave that way in adversity. Yeah, Nathan, these liberals are coming on my chat calling it a fake shooting. They should really, it's incredible to me. It's incredible to me how gullible people are. It's incredible to me to see. Hey, John, thank you so much. It's amazing to me to people see. I mean, there's nothing fake about it. One of the rally attendants is no longer with us, and two others got hit. There's nothing fake about this. But people on the left will believe anything. I'm convinced of that now. From doing these chats every day, I'm convinced that there are people on the left that would believe almost anything that they're instructed to believe. You know what I mean? Yeah, the widow doesn't think it was fake. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And the two people that spent a night or two in the hospital after getting wounded didn't think it was fake. So it's an astonishing thing. It's astonishing to me to see people say things like that publicly. I know it's not your real profile. Your profile's not you. The picture's not you. You're hiding your identity here online. I get it, but there are people that really believe that, you know, and they voted for the right party. If you believe that, you should stay with the Democrats. That's your party, because there's a whole lot of that on that side. I'm glad I'm on the right side myself, because what I'm saying is I don't want this to happen to a Democrat. I don't want this to happen to anyone. I don't want this to happen to any candidate. And folks on the left are saying, you know, they don't care. So that's the difference. I think that's one of the basic differences between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans want what's best for all Americans. Democrats want what's best for Democrats. Democrats want what's best for Democrat supporters. Republicans want what's best for all Americans. I think that's the stark difference between the two parties right now. Personal opinion, for entertainment purposes only. I'm not an expert. What I'm saying is not a fact, but it is my opinion. based on the evidence of what people are saying right now about Butler, PA. So there you go. Yes, use a bunch of numbers. Democrats tax and spend. Yes, they certainly do. That's their modus operandi. Tax and spend, bigger government. I mean, listen to Bernie Sanders and AOC right now. They're on tour. They're against oligarchs tour. Their answer to all the country's problems are more free stuff and more government control. We need more government involved in every aspect of your life, and then we'll be much better off. Way higher taxes, so way higher taxes, so the government has a lot more money to control everything, and then we'll make sure we take care of you. No, you won't. You'll take care of yourselves. Democrat politicians are pretty wealthy. They do really well for themselves, so they're already okay. I'm glad that I'm a Republican, and that I believe in smaller government and lower taxes, which this one big, beautiful bill delivers, by the way. Excuse me. At least in the years since this happened, Democrats and liberals aren't saying horrible things about that day, and they were sad that it didn't happen. There's a lot of that. Like right the day it happened, and a few days after this happened in Butler last year, everyone on my chats, all the people on the left were saying that they wished the perpetrator had gotten it right, like by the hundreds. At least that's dissipated since then. But a few people that I had to remove just echoed that same sentiment. So it's still lingering out there, that people can say that publicly is very, very strange to me. But there it is. Okay, Lori, you're in your own conversation. You're talking to yourself. So I'm talking about Butler, Pennsylvania. Let's see. You know what, Kay? I wouldn't recommend engaging. I recommend not engaging in people that say things like that. All you're going to do is you can. If you think it's worth your time to do that, that's fine. I've given up. I'm not here to change hearts and minds. I'm here to present my case as a conservative and talk about the news give my point of view and reaction to the news from a conservative perspective. But when I see people say things like that, I know that they're just their beliefs are that there's no talking somebody out of saying something like that. So I don't try anymore. Yes, cats and dogs. The free tuition bunnies could be converted to grants for tax-paying citizens, vets. Absolutely. I promise you the Trump administration shares your sentiment. I promise you the Trump team has that in mind right there. I agree. And it's what's more America first than saying this money should not be going to people who are here legally. I mean, why are we with all the other benefits that people that are here legally are getting in terms of free housing, free food. I mean, Americans can't afford housing right now. The mortgage rates are at 7%. Most Americans can't afford to buy a home right now. So to already be supplying illegal citizens with housing and food and medical free medical attention, I can't think of one argument defending giving free tuition to people who are here legally. That's definitely a privilege. Higher education is not a right. I wish it were. I wish most Americans went to college, but they don't. I mean, you can please fact check this, but most Americans don't go to college, and out of the ones who do, most drop out before they get their degree. But to give free tuition to a non-citizen with U.S. taxpayers' money is not fair at all. So I'm glad Trump's doing this, and I'm glad that it's ending. It's enough already. You know what I mean? Andy, how you doing, buddy? I hope you have a great Sunday. Have a great Sunday. You take care, okay, Andy? Bye-bye. Oh my gosh, gee. So let's go after the poor people instead of the real problem, the oligarchy. Well, I'll tell you what, GTRK. When you say oligarchy, do you mean the Democratic governor of Illinois? J.B. Pritzker, the Democratic governor of Illinois, is worth $4 billion. And he's a governor of a state in the most powerful country in the world. That's the definition of an oligarch. You're talking about him? Are you talking about J.B. Pritzker? Who's an oligarch? I think senators that get six-figure pensions for life, that can travel around the world for free, that have private health insurance. They don't have Obamacare. They've got private health insurance. I think those are the real oligarchs. I think J.B. Pritzker, the Democratic governor of Illinois, is an oligarch, a political oligarch. So that's who you must be talking about. So thanks for pointing that out. I'm glad everyone in the chat now knows that the Democratic governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, is worth $4 billion. And he's a governor of a state, which means he's got a lot of political power and a lot of personal wealth. A plus B equals oligarch. So thanks for pointing that out, JTR. Appreciate that. If you didn't know that, now you know that. A lot of Democrats have a whole lot of money. As we're having this conversation right now, and as Gavin Newsom's state, California, is basically unaffordable to live in. We saw from the fires how badly managed the state is in terms of any kind of disasters. And now the riots in LA, paid protesters. While all that's happening, and as we're having this conversation right now, Gavin Newsom is building a $9 million house in San Francisco. How does he have that much money? I mean, his salary is public record. The governor's salary is public record. Congress people's salary is public record. Senators' salary is public record. How does Gavin Newsom have $9 million to build a new house in a place in the world that has the highest real estate taxes and price tag on the planet Earth? San Francisco, California is one of the most expensive places to live in the world, and Gavin Newsom's building a $9 million brand new house there. And by the way, as the governor, he lives in a mansion. It's a lot of white privilege, isn't it? Holy cow. I thought Democrats were against that. Throws me off. When I think about it out loud, I get very confused trying to follow Democrats' logic on this stuff, you know? What walk? Governor Pritzker fights for the state and will not allow the fact. Yeah. Is he using his own money? What walk? He's got $4 billion. Why does he give like $100 million? Why doesn't Governor Pritzker give like $100,000 to every legal immigrant? Set him up for life. He's got $4 billion. Why doesn't Governor Pritzker use his own money and give money to these non-citizens? He's got $4 billion. He has no problem using the Illinois state taxpayers' money. How about he uses his own money? He's got $4 billion. He's an oligarch. That's why. I feel the same way about you, What Walk. I'm so glad you found me on TikTok, and I'm so happy to say goodbye to you. Have a great day. See you later. Payments from other countries to take their own money. Yeah, there's a whole lot going on too. You know, but Trump's putting a stop to that as well. You know what I mean? Trump's America First policies are pretty clear. He campaigned on them. I mean, Trump told us on the campaign trail what he would do. He made it very, very clear what he would do. So if I were here illegally, I would self-deport and then come back later the right way, port of entry, follow the naturalization process, and become an American citizen. I mean, Trump's offering that to people. He's saying, listen, please, hey, Shanna, how are you? He's like, listen, please self-deport. Not only if your long-term plan is to live in this country and you self-deport now, when you arrive in your country of origin, we'll send you $1,000 to help you get started in your own country. And I think you have to wait 3 years, and then you can reapply for citizenship here legally. So if you want to spend the rest of your life in the United States, but you're here legally now, Trump's offering you a lifeline. He's saying, as long as you're not a criminal, as long as you haven't committed crimes in this country or crimes in your country of origin, you can come back here the right way in a few years and become a citizen. But you have to leave because you're here illegally now. Nick Nam, Trump would rather thieves put of our money. Wow. I don't know where that sentence makes sense, man, but I don't know what you're saying. So, see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Well, Bree, if that's the case, they should definitely lose their jobs, or worse, maybe they should be in criminal court for that, because that's not part of that job. You know what I mean? If you work for the Secret Service, your political allegiance should have nothing to do with your duties and how you perform your duties. I'm sure there've been a lot of Republicans. I'm sure over our country's history that there've been a lot of Republican Secret Service agents who protected Democratic prisoners with their own lives, and vice versa. Right? I believe there's probably a lot of Democratic Secret Service agents that would protect a Republican president with their lives. That's their job. The Secret Service does not have the right to use their own political beliefs in terms of how well they're going to do their job. They should lose their job if that's what they're operating out of. So if what you're saying is true, they should definitely be fired. Right, Mobley. I mean, it's all exactly. A lot of that's ending. I mean, with the border being shut down, a lot of coyotes have been put out. A lot of coyotes have been put out of work with the border closed. Thank goodness. So that's going to help save a lot of lives too. He'll give them 1,000 pesos. Well, I mean, it's all over the world, though. Anywhere in the world that you're from. Which, by the way, I'll tell you what. I've been fortunate enough in my life to travel, and $1,000 in Uruguay is like 10,000. I mean, I'm not making a direct currency translation. I'm just saying this in terms of like ballpark numbers. US dollars are very, very valuable. If you're in Bangladesh and someone gives you $1,000 in Bangladesh, that's worth like $8,000 or something. Again, it's not an exact. I'm not making an exact currency translation. I'd have to grab my computer and take time to do that. I'd rather just talk to you guys like this. But what I'm saying is $1,000 in many countries around the world is a big chunk of money to get your life started again. Definitely housing, definitely food for a few months or longer. I mean, it's definitely a really incredible offer, I think, from the U.S. president. If you're here illegally and you've committed no crimes and you self-deport and you keep in contact with us, when you land in your country of origin, we'll send you $1,000, and then there's a timeline for which you can then come back through a port of entry and apply for citizenship and start over again. That's incredible. It's really, really a great deal. It's a great deal for people that want to take it. But for people that are here illegally, who know how serious this administration is about deportations and about enforcing the law, if they decide to stay, I'm in Las Vegas. That's the biggest gamble there is. You're gambling with your future. You're gambling with your liberty. If you want to gamble with your future, stay here illegally. But Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Trump have said very seriously, we're coming for you. So if it were me, I would take the offer. I would leave and come back. That's just my personal opinion for educational and entertainment purposes only, but that's what I would do. Let's see here. Congrats, another conflict entrepreneur working the business plan. ANKH, I have no idea what that means. Hey, what's up, Little Kryptonite? How are you, man? I came on Sunday today to talk about the fact that today is the 1-year anniversary of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. It is. And to talk about what we've learned so far since that time in terms of the Secret Service's response and lack thereof, their failings, which are enormous, in Butler, Pennsylvania a year ago today, and what we learned about the perpetrator himself, which is very little. I can't believe in one whole year we don't know more about the person that did this, but we really don't. We know more, we know a little bit more, but we don't know if he was working in connection with someone else. We don't know if someone else is pulling the strings. We don't know if he was being financially backed by someone else. We don't know why he had these 7 or 8 really, really weird apps on his phone that were in different languages, things like that. We don't know that yet. I wish we did. Yes, I'm talking about Butler, Pennsylvania. The Butler, Pennsylvania rally was 1 year ago today. The one where Trump was almost ended, let's say. Yeah. And again, there have been some folks on the chat that they're saying that it was fake. I'm like, well, it wasn't fake for Corey. I have his name right here. It wasn't fake to the person that became unalived, Corey Competore. It wasn't fake for him. And 2 other folks in the attendance that day got hit. It wasn't fake for them. But the fact that people would come on the chat and say that they thought it was fake just shows you how how people's minds can be turned inside out on the left, in my personal opinion. Mike, let people who have worked 5 years be vetted for work visas and apply for citizenship. Deport gang. Maybe. But again, if you're, maybe. What your argument makes a lot of sense. I would say a couple of things about that. If they have, but see, the thing is, Mike, a lot of people who are here working and doing a good job are here because they're avoiding justice from their own countries. What if some of the folks you're talking about have records back in their countries of origin? Bank robbery, things like that, which is a lot of people that are here, that have been here for a long time working, are not going home because they can't. Because when they get home, there's a warrant waiting for them. So should those folks be allowed to stay? I say no. They're here illegally, and they did illegal stuff in their country of origin. They should have to go. But if someone's here working legally, like you said, for 5 years, and has no record here or in their country of origin, maybe that's a possibility. But a lot of folks that are here can't go back to their country of origin because they have records. That's also a truth of this situation. Deport gang people, of course. But again, yeah, I agree with you with that caveat. If the people were granting work visas to have clean records completely, maybe. But a lot of them don't. A lot of them can't go back home. This is their home now, and they're here illegally, and they can't go back to their homes where they're really from because they've got warrants waiting for them there. So Trump's position on that is lock them up, remove them. So Kay, there you go. Kay is saying that Mexico's claiming they will help get them started there again. Great. Well, if they have, and listen, if you get $1,000 US and go back to Mexico, I'm in Nevada. $1,000 in Mexico goes a really long way. You'd have a great chance of starting your life over again. You'd definitely be able to afford housing and transportation for 4 or 5 months, which should be long enough for anyone to start over, And then you can come back to the USA a few years later and do everything the right way. Port of entry, naturalization process. So, Trump's offering a peace flag to these people. It's like, you're here illegally now, you're breaking the law every day that you're here illegally, but if you do this, if you leave now on your own, and they've got an app, you go on the app and say self-deporting and everything and fill it all out. When you get to your country of origin or wherever you're going, they send you the money. I think it's a great offer. Let's see here. Olive branch, thank you. I kept saying fig branch. I'm like, olive branch. Trump is offering an olive branch to people that already broke the law, and like Mike said, some of them have been here for many, many years. Doesn't change the fact that you're here illegally, and that according to federal law, you can be deported. So Trump's saying, if you do it yourself and keep in touch with us the whole time, you get this chunk of money, and you can come back down the road and start over again. No harm, no foul. Again, assuming your record is clean here and your record is clean in your country of origin or wherever in the world. If you have warrants around the world, you're not coming back, makes perfect sense. Listen, Nicole, I understand what you're saying, and they're not being awarded. They're having to leave. So I agree with you. I agree with you. But what Trump is saying is, if you self-deport, they're gone. They're out of our country. If they want to come back later the right way, that's fine, but they have to leave. So Trump's not saying you can stay and get this money. You only get the money if you leave on your own and then come back 3 or 4 years. I think it's 3 years later the right way. But if you're here legally and you decide to stay and don't take that offer, they're gonna come and get you. You're gonna be deported. So that's the olive branch part. He's saying, listen, you made a mistake. You got away with it for a while, but I'm in charge now and no more. So do the right thing, leave, and come back the right way, or we'll make sure you leave and you won't come back. Trump will never pay. I don't know what that means. It wouldn't be Trump paying it. It would be the government paying it. Trump himself wouldn't pay for it. It would be the federal government paying the $1,000, not President Trump himself. RJ, and there were gangsters in the U.S. Really, Al Capone. Really, how did you ancestors? RJ, I think you started drinking early today, buddy. I'm completely sober. If I were drinking like you were, I might understand that sentence, but I don't know what it means. And I'm also just drinking coffee, so I'm completely sober right now. That sentence doesn't make any sense to me. But thanks for sharing it, and thanks for being nice, and thanks for not using profanity or insulting me or my guests. But I have no idea what that means. Arizona, I don't believe Trump was hit. I do believe they will take out others with no thought. Well, whether you believe it or not, I mean, he went to the hospital and the doctor confirmed it and everything. But if you can, I don't know how to defend that. Trump was hit, luckily in a non-lethal way, and then of course one person in the rally was in a fatal way, and two more were hit where they had to go to the hospital for a couple of days. So they were real bullets and stuff, you know. And Trump was hit. I'm glad. Hello there. I'm glad he made it. I'm glad it was less of a serious injury to the president, you know. But he was definitely struck. But that's not the point. The point of this whole conversation today, the point of my chat today is, a year ago today in Butler, Pennsylvania, the Secret Service completely dropped the ball. The perpetrator had a direct line of sight on the president. That should never happen. And I'm talking about this as a Republican for future Democratic presidents and future Democratic candidates. I don't want Democrats to be in danger. I really don't. I don't agree with them at all politically, but I don't want them to be physically in danger ever. I don't want that for anyone. I'm a Christian. I don't want that. I pray for everybody. I don't want a future Democratic politician to have to worry about this. And I certainly don't want any future Democratic or Republican families that attend these events to worry about their children getting hurt. You know, this is a serious thing. So, and Corey Campitor protected his family. One of the reasons he's no longer with us is he dove on top of his family when he heard the noise to make sure they didn't get hurt. So he was a hero. He is a hero, but he shouldn't have had to be. This never should have happened. And I'm talking about this for Democrats' safety too. I mean that. I swear that I mean that. It was not staged. Of course, it wasn't staged. That's the whole point. I talked about this a lot before you came on the chat, maybe, but we now know, for example, the person, the Secret Service agent who was in charge of securing site vulnerabilities for an outdoor event. This was her first one. The person that the Secret Service entrusted to make sure venue security, site vulnerability was A-OK, had never done that before. There was no communication between the federal government and the local authorities at all, even the day of the event. They never found time to catch up with each other. 10 days before Butler, Pennsylvania last year, the GAO received a warning, an anonymous tip saying there might be an attempt on Mr. Trump in Butler, and the GAO told no one. They didn't tell the DOJ, they didn't tell the local authorities in Pennsylvania, they didn't tell anybody. They just sat on it. They thought, some crazy person called us and said this, it's not credible, it's unsubstantiated. Well, it turns out it was very substantiated. So again, Sean Curran, the current director of the Secret Service Department, is saying no threats will be dismissed, no anonymous tips will be ignored. We'll follow up on every single lead. Our job is to make sure the president and his team and future presidents, Democratic or Republican, are protected, and as well as the people attending these events. People that want to bring their families out to see politicians speak should not have to worry about the safety of their kids. That's the Secret Service's job, and the local police and the local authorities. So everyone dropped the ball that day, and as a result, as we're having this conversation, 6 agents had been put on administrative leave without pay or benefits for 42 days, while they determine if they want to bring them back or let them go. Nobody cares. Crash? That's not true. A lot of people care. People that don't want people to get hurt care about stuff like this. I don't want anyone to get hurt, Democrat or Republican. I especially don't want kids and young families to worry about this kind of stuff at public rallies. Yeah, Crash is gone. Bye, Crash. I want to make sure he's definitely out of here. Let's make sure. Oh, now he is. Okay. So yeah, we've been talking a lot about that. I hope you've learned a lot since then. I talked about the fact, and on a different note, I talked about the fact that Trump's education department has ended all free tuition for non-citizens. That's gone. That's no longer going to happen, which is great. And there's some other things that I wanted to talk about as well. But I think the main thing that we wanted to talk about, we have talked about, and I think we can agree that moving forward, the Secret Service has got to do a much better job of protecting presidents and candidates on the campaign trail. Can we agree on that? Y'all? Let's see. Don't you know? Well, guys, listen, I've had a great day, a great chat with you. That's all I've got. I only wanted to come on here and talk about this. I thought it was worth having a live devoted to this topic because it was so important. We could have lost, I mean, the fact that Donald Trump survived this and was able to complete that last year and win the election is only because he survived this day. He could have, our country would be in a whole different place if he didn't make it that day and the Democrats won. If the Democrats were running the country right now, I can't even imagine what would be happening in the world. But it wouldn't be, and from my opinion, it would not be awesome. So thank God that President Trump made it through Butler last year. And thank God that we're where we are right now. And I thank God for all of you for following me and supporting me on my content creation journey. If you like this, if you like my take on politics, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm also on YouTube. YouTube's a lot less restrictive from my perspective in terms of talking about politics. So follow me there if you're so inclined. But have a great Sunday with your family, your friends, your kids, your partners. And I really do appreciate your kind attention today. All right, guys? Have a great Sunday. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.